Hello and welcome to the Rogues Gallery, where I showcase the enemies of some of our favourite heroes. In this episode, I'll be taking a closer look at some of the antagonists of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, whilst also enjoying some of the best artwork for each character. Since we have so many villains to get through, let's begin with our first rogue within the gallery. This rather misunderstood character only became an enemy of the Turtles due to circumstance and has since made his peace with the heroes in a half-shell. Originally, Yotel was the leader of an ancient brotherhood who had ambitions to rule the world. He would inherit the power of immortality after discovering a mystical constellation that would occur when the stars aligned every 3,000 years. However, this same power also transformed his best generals into stone and unleashed 13 monsters onto the world. These creatures destroyed his army and left Yotel stranded. In modern times, he adopted the alias of Max Winters before founding Winters Corp. He would later locate his stone generals who helped capture the returning 13 monsters. Despite this, the generals went on to betray Winters and decided to continue their mission to conquer the Earth. Ultimately, he would team up with the Turtles to defeat the unleashed generals and monsters. It's no surprise that mutant animal creatures would come into conflict with other mutant animal creatures, so let's take a look at the more animalistic enemies of the Turtles. In the 2012 cartoon, Dogpound and Fishface served as the main henchmen of Shredder. Despite working together, the two have actually become the enemy of each other. Dogpound was initially known as Chris Bradford, a celebrity martial artist who secretly worked as one of Oroku Saki's henchmen. Alternatively, Fishface began as a Brazilian gangster named Server Montez, who also allied himself with the Foot. This unlikely duo were forced to work together to track down Splinter and the Turtles, before eventually being doused with mutagen which transformed them into Dogpound and Fishface. After being bitten by Shredder's pet dog, Bradford transformed into a large canine-like animal, whilst Montez mutated into a giant fish as he was handling a snakefish earlier in the day. Shredder immediately saw the potential in their mutated forms and had a pair of robotic legs built for Fishface before training Dogpound in new forms of combat to maximise his abilities. Subsequently, Dogpound would be knocked into another tank of mutagen and re-emerged in his new form. This allows us to segue nicely to our next deadly duo in Tokah and Razaar. After discovering that Techno-Global Research Industries created the mutagen that transformed the Turtles, Shredder ordered his foot soldiers to steal the ooze and kidnap the head scientist, Professor Jordan Perry. Upon stealing an alligator-snapping turtle and a grey wolf, they would douse the animals with the ooze, creating the superpowered mutants known as Tokah and Razaar. However, the altered mutagen would have disastrous side effects, incredibly limited intelligence. This became abundantly clear when Shredder tried to teach them who their new master was. Instead of facing him in battle, the pair of infantile mutants would hug Shredder, believing him to be their mother. Ultimately, they proved that they were babies. Despite this, Tokah and Razaar were incredibly strong and used their sheer size and strength to battle the Turtles. Our next beastly villain is the lethal Tiger Claw. As children, Takeshi and his sister Alopex entered a portal to Dimension X, where they were captured by Krang. Whilst in Krang's possession, the boy was experimented on with mutagen, which caused him to mutate into a humanoid tiger, whilst his sister transformed into a red fox-like creature. Despite escaping, Takeshi and his sister became outcasts who resorted to performing circus tricks in a freak show. Ultimately, they would leave this demeaning world for a life of crime and eventually became deadly assassins. Takeshi would take the name of Tiger Claw, however he would later lose his tail in a fight with his sister. The Tiger Claw now seems to want to take revenge on his sister, but has also clashed with the Turtles on numerous occasions. Although you may associate rats such as Splinter as an ally of the Turtles, there is one rodent-like enemy that has proven to be a real pest. Although his backstory does vary in different incarnations of the character, what is consistent is that the Rat King lives in the New York sewers with an army of telepathically controlled rats that he uses to perform his bidding. His unique powers have allowed him to take control of Splinter and hurt the Turtles whilst they are least expecting it. Some depictions of the Rat King suggest that he was a scientist who injected himself with mutagen, which gave him his capabilities and rodent-like teeth. This villain has teamed up with Shredder, Krang, and even Leatherhead to terminate the heroes in a half-shell. Another zoomorphic villain of the Turtles is the savage salamander-like creature known as Neutralizer. This salamandrian bounty hunter known as Neutralizer has not only troubled the Turtles, but also Slash, the Utroms, and even Krang. This war criminal allied himself with Lord Dregg, but was imprisoned by Krang due to his voracious appetite for the Krang species. He later teamed up with Slash to hurt Krang's alien race, however the duo disbanded due to the Neutralizer's savagery. Despite his thuggery, the Neutralizer does have high intelligence and can operate a range of weapons and equipment. Speaking of weapons, our next rogue has some lethal built-in munitions of his own. Although his origins vary, some depictions suggest that Slash was a pet turtle owned by Rocksteady, but was transformed into an evil mutated turtle via the mutagen. Unlike the Turtles, his intellect would remain infantile and his personality became extremely temperamental. My favourite version of this character is the one from the comics where he is a lab animal at Stockton, where he becomes mutated and unstable due to the morbid experiments he is subjected to. After escaping, he would go on a rampage across the city and was dubbed Slash due to the carnage of destruction he would leave in his wake. Eventually, he would attack the Turtles within a church but was defeated. Subsequently, he would join forces with the Turtles and aspired to Michelangelo as he wished to become a hero. With his ambitions in mind, Slash would develop intellectually and later fulfilled his goal by forming the Mutanimals, who were another superhero team of mutant animals. Another reptilian enemy of the Turtles is the mutant known as Leatherhead. Initially, Leatherhead was assisted by the Turtles as he was being attacked by a big game hunter named Jack Marlin. Together they defeated the antagonist, and the heroes in a half-shell allowed Leatherhead to live in their old home in the sewers. However, during an encounter with the Foot Clan, Leatherhead was assisted by them in building the Transmat device, a piece of equipment that would allow him to return to the Utrom homeworld. Eventually, the Turtles would also assist him with this, however when the device blew up in his face, Leatherhead killed his Foot Clan assistants and vowed revenge on the Turtles, whom he blamed for destroying his chance to get home. Whether he is an ally or enemy, Leatherhead's advanced intelligence, primal instinct, and immense power make him a force to be reckoned with. Our final animalistic antagonists are arguably the most infamous double acts in the Turtles Rogues Gallery because they are Bebop and Rocksteady. These New York street gang members initially encountered the Turtles when they tried to stop Channel 6 reporter April O'Neil from broadcasting a report about the rising crime across the city. After being defeated by the Turtles, the duo were transformed into their mutant forms when Shredder decided to make mutants of his own in order to combat the Turtles. As a result, he combined the DNA of a warthog and a rhinoceros with mutagen to create Bebop and Rocksteady. Despite their increase in size and strength, their intellect remained incredibly low, which allowed the Turtles to outsmart them on many occasions. In later incarnations of the characters, Rocksteady was a Russian arms dealer named Ivan Staranko, whilst Bebop was Anton Zek, an African-American professional thief. In any version of the characters, one thing has always been constant: they have consistently been a thorn in the Turtles' side. The Turtles' more intergalactic battles have seen them come into conflict with a variety of alien beings over the years. This cruel ruler of planet Sectoid is the leader of all insect life within the universe, who set his sights for Earth in a mission of galactic conquest. Arriving in his dreadnought vessel, he would lead a bug-like race of creatures called the Techno Gang to conquer the planet. This powerful four-armed alien sought revenge on the Turtles, who destroyed some of his robust servants, but was ultimately thwarted by them on numerous occasions. Another group of alien adversaries on this list are the dinosaur-like Triceratons. These beings, who resemble anthropomorphized Triceratops, belong to a powerful empire that conquered much of the known galaxy. The Triceratons have made an appearance on every Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles platform. Initially a peaceful alien race, the Triceratons would be bound to mobile cities upon asteroids after their homeworld was accidentally destroyed. After re-establishing themselves under a new dictatorship, the Triceratons began their quest to conquer the universe. They initially came into conflict with the Turtles when the heroes in a half-shell were on an intergalactic mission. Additionally, the Triceratons have a bitter conflict with Krang, who they battled for control of Dimension X. One interpretation of their origin suggests that it was indeed Krang who destroyed their homeworld with a black hole generator. Another denizen of Dimension X is the stone warrior known as General Traag. Created by Krang when he moistened rocks from Dimension X with mutagen, Traag was just like the Stone Warriors until his loyalty to his leader saw him promoted to the position of Deputy Commander. Traag came into conflict with the Turtles when he and Granitor came through the Technodrome's transdimensional portal whilst pursuing a band of Dimension X resistant fighters locked in a war with Krang's army. Existing solely for war, Traag and his forces managed to drive the Turtles into retreat until Michelangelo and Donatello managed to send them back to their own dimension through the portal. Despite his defeat, Traag has remained Krang's most devoted supporter and has tried to single-handedly destroy the Turtles for his master on numerous occasions. Next we move on to Traag's master and creator himself, the aforementioned Krang. Originally, Krang was a reptilian creature in command of an army of rock soldiers, but was reduced to a brain-like form and banished from Dimension X for his crimes. After arriving on Earth, this powerful warlord would enlist the help of Shredder and his foot soldiers in an attempt to conquer the planet. He subsequently ordered Shredder to build him a human-shaped exosuit. This new body could grow to enormous proportions and transform its limbs into lethal weapons. Unlike Shredder, Krang is not obsessed with the destruction of the Turtles and merely sees them as an obstacle in the way of his quest for world domination. Despite being defeated by the heroes in a half-shell on several occasions, Krang continues to mastermind the majority of evil that the Turtles have to deal with. Speaking of aliens, our next rogue was abducted by them and is simply known as Agent Bishop. John Bishop was a 19th century US soldier when he was suddenly abducted by grey aliens whilst fighting in the Battle of New Orleans. During his abduction, he was experimented on, which augmented his physical capabilities and longevity. Now at over 200 years old, Special Agent Bishop is the head of the Earth Protection Force and investigates the Turtles' extraterrestrial adventures. In their first encounter, Bishop wished to dissect the Turtles because he thought they were aliens. This cunning individual is ruthless in fulfilling his missions and has gone to great lengths to ensure success, including blackmailing Shredder, experimenting on mutants, and striking deals with the Triceratons. Claiming that he is acting for the good of mankind, Bishop has resorted to unethical methods to achieve his objectives. However, in his defense, his unscrupulous actions paid off because when the Turtles traveled 100 years into the future, they discovered that John Bishop was the elected president of the Pan-Galactic Alliance. Since the Turtles have real intellect with the likes of Donatello in their group, it would be remiss to try to defeat them with might alone. Due to this, our next rogue has used brains over brawn when battling with the heroes in a half-shell. Despite being a servant of Shredder, Stockman only obeys his leader out of fear and even turned on him when he got a hint of power for himself. Arguably this was for good reason, because in the 2003 series, Baxter appeared with a different part of his anatomy missing with every failure. This, however, did not stop him from continuing to develop new weapons and technology for the Foot Clan. This scientific genius first clashed with the Turtles when his mouse-hunting robots tried to attack Splinter. Later, Stockman would enhance himself with cybernetic technology to battle the heroes in a half-shell. Although he has been brutally punished by his employers in a variety of creative ways, Stockman's brilliant mind and cybernetic powers see him remain a constant threat. Aside from being mutated turtles, the heroes in a half-shell are also trained in ninjutsu and as a result have clashed with other ninja warriors. Head of a gang of criminals called the Purple Dragons, Hun has fought the Turtles on several occasions. He once even joined forces with the Foot Clan to terrorize the heroes in a half-shell. This hulking adversary has taken a particular disliking to Raphael and utilizes his immense strength to intimidate his opponents. However, do not be fooled into thinking he is all brawn and no brains, because Hun is an incredibly cunning crime boss. Despite getting a Bruce Lee style redesign, Hun is normally depicted as a brooding blonde behemoth. However, he is not just a rogue for the Turtles. His Purple Dragons have clashed with Shredder's Foot Clan just as much as they have teamed up with them. Since we mentioned them, let's move straight on to the ninja warriors known as the Foot Clan. Originally, the Foot Clan were considered the most feared clan of warriors and assassins in feudal Japan. However, in New York, they have most commonly been depicted as troubled teenagers or deadly robots who loyally fight at Shredder's side. This faceless ninja army have frequently battled with the Turtles across all media platforms, however have frequently been defeated by the heroes in a half shell. As a result, a more advanced version of the Foot Clan exists for the most elite members of the unit. This faction consists of the most accomplished ninjas in the Foot Clan and are trained by Shredder himself. Ultimately, they serve as his bodyguards and are fiercely loyal to their master, readily giving up their lives for him. This deadly group are easily distinguished by their Casa straw hats. Our next ninja on this list is the Foot Clan's second in command. This master martial artist serves as Shredder's second in command and head recruiter for the Foot Clan. After handpicking young runaways from the streets, he would initiate them into the criminal unit. Tatsu would utilize brutal methods to mentor and subsequently discipline his students, which caused them to fear and respect him. Proving extremely intolerant of failure, Tatsu would burst into fits of violent rage and even come close to killing some of his students. Despite having a mysterious past, it is believed that Tatsu arrived in New York with Shredder in order to conquer the city for a series of thefts. However, when Shredder was presumed to be dead, Tatsu took the reins of the clan for a while before proving his loyalty to his master upon his return. Our penultimate Rogan ninja is actually the first female assassin on the list. She is the outlaw known as Karai. Another character that has appeared in various platforms with different origins is Karai. In her first appearance, this lethal ninja warrior attempted to reunite warring factions of the Foot Clan following the death of her master. Other iterations of the character have portrayed her as Orokusaki's second in command, who is torn between her duty to her master and her feelings for Leonardo. Her current origin story has presented her as the long-lost daughter of Splinter, who was adopted by Shredder. Upon discovering her heritage, Karai was exposed to the mutagen and transformed into a serpent-like creature. Whether she has been presented as an ally or an enemy of the Turtles, all variations of Karai have depicted her as a ruthless ninja who can take on all four of the heroes simultaneously. Last but certainly not least, we have Karai's adoptive father and arguably the Turtles' most formidable foe in the Shredder. Orokusaki has had various origin stories in different media, however he has always been a bitter rival of the Turtles' mentor Splinter. In the 1987 animated series, Saki and Hamato Yoshi were both members of the Foot Clan in Japan. However, when Saki framed Yoshi for the attempted murder of a visiting sensei, Hamato was forced to abscond to New York, where he lived in the sewers with 4 pet turtles. Back in Japan, Saki took control of the Foot Clan, donned his spiked armor and helmet before taking the alias of Shredder. During his travels, he met an alien warlord called Krang, who used his advanced technology to transform the Foot Ninja into robots called the Foot Soldiers. With his new ally and army, Shredder would head to New York, where he would initiate his reign of terror. During his time in the city, he would find Yoshi still alive and attempted to kill him by dumping mutagen into the sewers. In a bizarre twist of fate, Shredder was responsible for creating his most formidable opponents, as the act turned Yoshi into Splinter and the Turtles into the heroes in a half shell. Shredder will stop at nothing to destroy his old foe Splinter and the Turtles. With Shredder discussed, we can now end our tour of the enemies of the Turtles. I hope that I did not exclude too many of your favourite villains, but please do add them in the comment section if you wish. Do let me know which other rogues galleries you would like me to visit, but until then, have a wonderful festive period. Take care.